Hello, everyone.
Hey everybody, so we'll be coming to you from our home. It's the summer and we don't have any gigs anymore. So we'll be having a series of videos of really amazing artists, just like this in this format. So today we have Dr. Richard White. Richard White is an amazing orchestral tubist, a professor, motivational speaker, and he has a great book that he wrote that he's going to be telling us about today. So enjoy!
All right. So we want to welcome our great and dear friend, Dr. Richard White, who's the Tuba euphonium professor at the University of New Mexico and Tubist with the New Mexico Philharmonic. Welcome, Dr. White.
Hello, how are you?
We're doing great. Depending on
Yeah.
the times, but yeah, besides that, we're fine.
We're in these COVID-19 boxes here. Our first interview since the new beginning of all of our lives. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. We're living history in so many ways right now.
Yeah, how are you
Yeah.
doing with all of this?
It's up and down. Sometimes emotionally it's high and sometimes it's low. But I think we're lucky and we're blessed because we have the gift of music that's an outlet for us, and I think it's inspiring to see how many people are using their creative abilities to share publicly.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
I don't know, I'm always thinking ahead. So I think at the end of the day, when this is over, it's going to forever change the dynamic of public performances.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. Well, cool. So, Richard, you've been preempted, I believe, with the questions. So we'll go ahead and ask them, and we'll just kind of play off what you say and go from there. But we always ask everyone to tell us a little bit about, their musical journey. I know you have a book, but give a little extra for our listeners.
Well, if you've been following me, I'm very blessed. I've got a movie out that will be in public domain first of the year. A book is
Wow.
coming. So my path to music is very unorthodox. I think I'm 6'5", 300 pounds. I was supposed to be a football player, but I broke my hip, and so that dream was ended. And I was like, what else can I do? And I was like, I got this sousaphone. Maybe I can do something with that. So I picked up the sousaphone, showed up at the Baltimore School for the Arts a day after auditions, and just
Wow.
walked in there with attitude like, "Hey, why are you here?" I had crutches on and a sousaphone, the tuba that you actually wear.
Oh
And he
my
was like,
gosh.
"What are you doing here? Why are you here?" And I said, I was a yo boy back then. I had my sweatpants. I was like, "Yo, I came to audition." And he looked at me like, the director was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, auditions was yesterday." And I don't know where it came from, but I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "But I'm here now."
But I'm here now. Only
So
Richard White can say
Yeah.
that, even young Richard White.
he took me upstairs and he's like, "Okay, what are you gonna play?" I had some Mozart thing I played, and he's like, "So can you read this?" I was like, "No, sir." He was like, "Do you know what this is?" I was like, "Yeah, I think it's this." And I pushed down the first valve. And he's like, "Yeah, but do you know what that is?" I said, "Yeah, man, it's this." And he said, "What about the note name?" I was like, I don't know, man." And then he said, "Well, can you play this?" Went to the piano and played something. And I played it back. And he was like, "Interesting." He left the room, talked to the faculty, and said, "You must be one of the luckiest kids in the world. We're going to accept you in the Baltimore School for the Arts." They
Wow.
accept one out of every 100 that audition.
Wow.
Wow. Did he
Yeah.
ever tell you what it was about you and coming late that made him want to take you?
Yeah, well, he's in the movie, and in the movie, he says, he didn't have a whole lot of book smarts, but you could tell that he was a go getter. I mean, every time I was telling him something like, "Hey, man, audition was yesterday," he was like, "So?" He said, so he knew there was something there. And the way he explains it is, even if you're not book smart, with music, if you have the ability to express yourself, any competent educator can pick that up. And
Mm.
that's what he heard. He heard a voice. And I'm so grateful for him, Dr. Chris Ford. I mean, because if he hadn't heard that voice and based my acceptance off of potential instead of talent, I may not be here today.
Wow.
Mm.
You
Wow.
know,
Yeah, no, it's important to have people like that. You know, you never know. I mean, they never know at the time how much big of an impact they're going to have on somebody's life.
Oh man, we're lucky to all be educators, and we all have that decision where you hear that student that's a little rough and go, am I going to put in the work or not? You know, but that's why we have a job at the end of the day, to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Baltimore School for the Arts made a difference in my life. And that's pretty much how my serious musical journey began.
Okay.
Wow.
But he's not giving it out. So okay, tell them where they can find the whole story and the book to tell them, because I see you're not giving it out.
You can go to rawtuba.com or you can go to rawtubafilm.com and check it out. You know, prior to Baltimore School for the Arts, all right, I apologize to my editor now. I started initially on the trumpet. Yes, I picked the trumpet with Dante Winslow, who's an extraordinary trumpet player. I mean, he's Justin Timberlake, Queen Latifah, Lady Bellum. He was in the Super Bowl. And then what's the big show? The Oscars or something like that. Yeah. He does all of that. So I was like, man, look, yo, we should pick the trumpet. It only got 3 vowels. It can't be hard. Boy, was I wrong. So, that's initially, you guys remember this. Someone comes to the school, plays all the instruments, right? And say, well, which one do you like? And I was like, I'm going with the 3 vowel one.
See, that sounds weird for a pianist, because I'm like, I got
man. Many years later, I stopped playing because in middle school, I was like, man, look at this. It's like 28 trumpet players, and I'm like number 20. And I looked up and saw a sousaphone. I was like, well, there's only one of those. What's that?
Right.
So that's pre-Baltimore School for the Arts for you. So I gave up a little more story there.
That's awesome.
Wow. So, like, how did you get into like your position, like being a professor, like an orchestral tubist? I mean, how did all that come about?
Oh man, see, this is it. So now that I'm sharing with you guys, that you gotta go. People gotta go buy the book.
Okay. Absolutely.
I was like, all right. So I came on a 1-year to New Mexico Phil. I had been playing New World, you know, Spoleto, all the circuit, and it was interesting because I kept following Steve Campbell. Like they were like, hey, Steve Campbell wants Spoleto, but can you play second tuba? I was like, I'll play anything, man. And then, you know, I got the advertisement for New Mexico. And I saw that Steve Campbell was the tuba player, but he was on leave. I was like, this dude is good luck for me. Let me go take this audition. So I won New Mexico Symphony and then got hired adjunct at the University of New Mexico. As you know, we had the big stock crash sometime in the mid-2000s. It was really catastrophic for the New Mexico Symphony. And New Mexico Symphony folded. So I was like, man, I got to go back on the circuit again. I went to UNM, and they was like, we love you. Thanks for building a studio. We would love to hire you, but we don't have money. And I looked at him, I was like, what? So you mean if I go find the money, you're going to give me a tenure track position? And he made the mistake of saying yes. So I went home, and I was like, man, who got the money? And then I was like, the athletic department. I scheduled a meeting with the athletic director of UNM Athletics. It was a 15-minute meeting. I said, hey, man, what if I teach your football players respiratory functions? He said, done. And that's literally how I got my tenure track job.
Wow.
And soon after, the same day I sued the New Mexico Symphony, I filed the paperwork for the 501c3, which is now the New Mexico Philharmonic, right at my kitchen table.
Wow. I did not know that. I got to read the book.
Yeah.
That's why I'm grounded. I'm like, wait a minute. I started this orchestra from my kitchen table. You know, because, you know, we went to really, really prestigious schools. If you're a person of color or a minority status, you're not going without debt. You know, so when the symphony went down, I was like, what am I going to tell Sally Mae? Sally Mae called
Navient.
Right, Navient. Every day without fail, right? I'm like, hold up. So I knew people had kids and had to eat. So we filed the 501c3, me and Carla Lehmeyer, cellist in the orchestra. And the rest is pretty much history, man. And the school was blown away. They was like, you did what? And they said, what? Oh, they said, yeah, man, all we got to do is teach your football players how to breathe. So check this out. Turns out we were the worst team in the nation, all 50 states. We were horrible. So they said, look, man, the only thing we really have is this marching band. Can you get us 15 tuba players? I was like, I can do that in my sleep. So, hey, Mr. Perantoni, hey, I call everybody. You know, I need some tuba players. Son, we got you. Don't worry about it. How many you need? And the rest just followed suit. I was the assistant marching band director and been that since I had a full-time tenure track position. And like you, congratulations, Martin, on being a full professor. I'm in the process now. So kudos to you, man. That is major league. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot.
Oh, man, you're setting the trend, man. You're setting an example for all of us, man. So thank you very much, man, for being the artist and professional that you are. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, brother. You know, it's like sitting next to people like you that inspires me every day.
Oh, man. We always have a good time playing. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I guess our next question, what we like to do with our series, we like to give advice for the next generation students. Like, what would you tell the next generation student? What would be your advice?
Wow, how much time we got?
Now, don't give them everything because they need to read the book.
I've got a few things that I say when I'm on tour. The first thing I always open up with, I think our world is in crisis and it's troubled times right now. And I think 99% of our problems can be solved if we were just kind to one another. So my number one message is be kind. You know, and I think there are going to be struggles. Life is fair to everyone because it's unfair to everyone. I really live by that and believe that. At the end of the day, when you grow up in various backgrounds that are challenging, the idea is to just keep swinging. Expect to get knocked down, keep swinging. And you're going to fail. Expect to fail. My acronym for failing is finding an intended lesson in needed growth. If you fail, there's something you needed to know that you now know, so you can now succeed.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Richard, can you say that again?
It's failing. Finding an intended lesson in needed growth.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
So
You need to trademark that one.
That's pretty much how I think. Lately, I've been on this vibe with my students because my students are up and down with this remote learning thing, right? So my advice to them is never choose what's comfortable over what's best for you. So, man, if it was up to me, man, I'm just going to have a moment of honesty here. I would sit on the couch, eat donuts and potato chips and call it a day. But I can't let the little kids down that are looking up, that want to play an orchestra or brass quintet. I can't let them down. So a lot of times the things that I need to do, I don't want to do, and they're really uncomfortable, but they're what's best for me. You know, in relation to students, yeah, none of us really want to go to air training, but it's best for you. So you should go. You know? It's more comfortable to stay home. But if you choose what's best for you, you'll get up and go to class.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
Know, so those are some tidbits that I like to give students. And at the end of the day, be you too. You know, we've got a society and, you know, we're struggling with this now where we're distribute help. Like, so let's say a student has a problem. We decide, hey, level 5 help is what we're giving across the board. So let's say 50% of the students succeed at level 5. But you got another 50% that need level 6, 7, or 8. We fail to distribute that help. And I'm like, dang, man, if we had just held on one more level, this student could have been a star. We owe it to the students not to let them down and provide the resources that they need to succeed. We can't assume that everyone needs the same amount of resources. We all have different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And if you think you don't have the latter, you're delusional. We all have weaknesses.
Exactly.
You know?
Wow, you're giving advice to us too.
Yeah.
Future and previous.
I admire you guys so much. Whenever there's an event or a festival that we're at, I look at the roster, I see your 2 names, I'm like, yes, it's going to be good. You know, not just from a playing point of view, I know we'll play with excellence, but then we get to hang, we get to talk, philosophize, and it's just, yeah, I come away like I just ate a box of super Wheaties.
Super weeds. That's awesome. So, Richard, tell us, I mean, we're all, you know, musicians and we work really hard, but what do you do for fun? I know you said you wanted the donuts and the chips.
Yes. So for fun, I ride my bike. I have an XL bike. It's probably XXL bike, if I'm really being honest. So I like to ride bikes. I like to talk to my friends and my family. I didn't know. I like dogs, actually.
Oh. Do you have one?
3 little puppies in the house.
Oh.
And so I hang out with them and go on walks a lot with them in my spare time. And, you know, everyone that knows me, and I've talked to Martin about this, I am a super foodie. If you start talking about barbecue barbecue. You start talking about cupcakes or whatever, man, it's gonna be a long conversation. You know, so you're like, well, I mean, you had this barbecue, but did you have this barbecue? Nah, how many miles away is that? Oh man, it's kind of far. It's like a 20-minute drive. That ain't that far, man. You know, so those are the things that I do for fun. I am a workaholic. If I'm honest with myself, I have a fear that I'm going to die before I get to do everything that I want to do. And I said that to an elderly man on the plane one day. And he said, son, everybody's going to die before they get to do what they want to do. You know, and he looked at me and he said, I don't worry about people harassing me and, you know, the bill collectors calling, whatever. And I said, yeah, that's good advice, sir. Why? He said, because they can't take what I don't have. Great advice. You know? So as I get older, though, I realize that vacation is not optional. We really do have to take time off, take care of ourselves because we need to recharge.
Yep.
You know, and sometimes recharging means break. I have to understand that, you know, and in the future here, I'm taking a sabbatical from the orchestra and sabbatical from school just so I can promote the book and recharge. By the way, everyone's calling me about the AFM article. I'm not quitting my orchestra job, just taking a leave.
I was going to text you because I looked in the magazine. I'm like, anything about leaving the work.
I love my friends. Thank you, man. It's like, you know, people care. Hey, man, you all right? Hey, do I need to come down there? I'm like, no, it's all good, man.
Yeah, he asked me. I was like, I don't know what he's doing.
Yes. I feel very blessed. My friends really care about me.
That's awesome. So I got a different question. So since we're kind of stuck in the house and you said vacation was important, where do you want to go as soon as everything's normal?
Oh, you guys are going to laugh at me. I have a goal to be the first musician to say that I've done a recital on all 7 continents.
Ooh.
So I want to arrange an unaccompanied recital on Antarctica when this is all over.
What?
Oh, wow.
Okay, come on. Where? How do you do that?
You know what? It's really crazy because you got to get a helicopter and then you got to talk to the science lab. They actually have lecture halls where you could play a recital. I'm assuming I take my tuba but use a plastic mouthpiece, bring lots of valve oil. Once it gets inside, just don't take it back outside. I'm really planning to do a 40-minute unaccompanied lecture recital. And then I can say I've done recital on all 7 continents. So what's left is Africa and Antarctica.
Wow. But Richard, that's work. I said vacation.
Hey, you know, we tie it together, you know, of course. You know what? You just made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, it's probably not going to be too many restaurants to go to in Antarctica.
Right.
But in Africa, I'll find some good cuisine. I've always had this dream of going to Ireland because every time I cut on HBO or Netflix, it's like, man, that looked just like the poster. You know, so I would love to go to Ireland and see some things. I just got back from Europe with the Chiniki Orchestra. Phenomenal. They're making history. It was an amazing experience. What was interesting about that travel is I had just came from Washington, D.C., speaking at the National Convention for Homeless Children in America, which I got the gig because Biden decided to run for president. So I spoke there, and we had just come from the African American Museum. So I saw all this history and then went to Europe where it all happened. It was surreal.
Wow.
Unbelievable to experience that. And then I got to play in all these halls that I was seeing in magazines with nothing but minorities.
Wow, yeah.
Like, this is really happening. You know, like Concerto Ball, it's like everywhere, you know, in London, Germany. I'm just like, this is insane. You know, so that was a magical experience. And I think sometimes we forget the impact we have as underrepresented groups. Every time something like that happens or we play, to see the stars go off in a little kid's eye always reminds me why I'm doing it, regardless of what the situation. I'm like, all right, give me that music. Let me count this rhythm, man. You know? Because they really don't know that they can do the things that we do. If something's happening in our society where we were exposed to say, oh, we can do this. But now there's so much information on the internet, I think they overlook classical musicians. And they're not sure that they can do it. So when they see it, their jaw drops to the floor. and it gives us purpose.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we're doing really important work. You know, and I think it's funny. After this, I wonder how many people are going to thank educators, nurses,
yeah,
cashiers.
I know, right?
Right.
Grocery store workers.
All those people you push to the side now.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Exactly.
they're extremely important right now.
Yep.
Yes.
So I'm trying to keep it positive. I'm trying to just stay healthy and know that if I do my part, you do your part. Collectively, it's got to equal something extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not about the individual, but it's about the whole. And we're going to have to realize that sooner than later if this country is going to survive on many levels.
Yeah.
You know, and we're lucky to have the outlet of music to really push that movement. You know, so
yeah.
anyway.
So it's inspirational.
Oh, I
I mean, you just like inspired me. I thought this was for everybody else, but I was like, oh, that was for me.
Oh,
that's why I like hanging out with Richard all the time.
Yeah.
I'm so inspired by you guys, and all the time. I mean, we talked about academia, man. We talk about barbecue. We talk about equipment. You know, it's fascinating to have that kind of outlet. You know, and I never feel like I have to think about what I'm going to say. You know, and let's be honest. Sometimes you go to festivals. Here's what no one really says. You're like, here they come. Let's go the other way. Come on. Oh, what time is that event? All right, everybody gonna leave at 3:50. So we gonna go at 3:55. All right. You know, that's the reality of most of the festivals. But when we get together, it's like, nah, man. It started at 3. All right, we be there at 2:45. We can all sit together, you know?
We definitely have a lot of fun. Yes. So, Richard, remind our audience, where can they find you?
Yeah. All right, so you can find me right now on rawtuba.com. Please read a blog. I really want people to read it. Mm-hmm. And rawtubafilm.com if you're interested in the film Raw Tuba. And Macmillan Publishing, Flatiron. Book will be coming out first of the year. Look for it. Don't have a title yet, otherwise I would share it. But I'm sure after this is done, it'll be a floodgate to all the publishing companies. So thank you very much, and I'm very grateful. And I hope that my goal for the book is that every kid in America sees the film and the book, and that it inspires them.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were able to see the film too, and definitely recommend it. It's a must-see for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so there definitely won't be a dry eye in the room once you see it. Richard, thank you so much for taking your time speaking with us. It's been a lot of fun and very inspiring.
I love the McCains. Big hugs to both of you. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon on the stage.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Bye.